Hello and welcome to Warhammer Workshop. My name is Amy and I am joined, as always, by my hobby partner, JF. JF, hello.
Hello.
This is an exciting week.
Is it now?
It is, less so from a new stuff point of view, but it is the 35th anniversary of Warhammer 40k.
It is or will be this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, today as this releases, I assume.
So, that's fun because in addition to that model that we talked about last week, we also have a preview, which we will have covered in its own thing, and that will be very exciting.
Right. If you want our full coverage of the preview, we tend to put these out roughly an hour after the preview itself, maybe two, and that's available on our YouTube channel for Warhammer Workshop.
Yes. The other releases this week are all Sigmar side for the most part, which is not unusual after a brand new army release for a game.
Yeah, the pendulum swings.
Yeah. So we've got the Lumineth Realm Lords with their new battle tome, their Vanguard box, and their cards. And we also have the updated Sons of Bahamut, which includes King Broad, that big giant guy that we saw at the Nova preview. Nova? I think it was Nova.
I think it was Nova preview. He looks, I mean, it's an awesome looking fig. I can't reveal to you or anyone my sources, but I hear that he is an expensive little boy. So if you're planning on adding King Broad to your existing or new army for Sons of Behemoth, start putting some cash away.
Yeah. We also get the Man Crusher Gargant and the Man Crusher Mob, which is 3 of them. Along with your usual dice, etc.
Right. I think the previous Man Crusher Mob was only 2 models. Now it's 3.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder, because I'm so 40k centric. Is this something that we're going to see for War Dogs for the various side armies? Because right now they're boxes of 2, but they're units of 3. Are we going to start seeing boxes of 3? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm invested in the answer that much. It's just a curiosity.
Yeah. And again, there was another, like, you got to scroll all the way down, but there are 2 more pairs of fancy holiday socks, which is great.
I need new socks.
I wish they weren't Space Marine socks.
The
Ultramarine
those
ones
have
are
the
kinda
Aquila
cool,
on them,
though.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
This is the social climate I want to be wearing 2-headed eagles on.
No,
I can
I
always
agree.
claim, yeah, I mean, it's fine. No one looks at my socks, but I'm always disappointed when I don't get my Tyranid clawed feet socks.
Yeah.
Because I somehow feel that would be more fun than Aquila's.
Or they have socks that look like, it's like a shark is eating your foot, right? You put your foot in the shark's mouth, but like a
Gwig.
Ripper. Yeah. Something
Squig,
like that.
or you're right, like a ripper.
Yeah.
A ripper in one leg, a squig in the other. I don't care. The moment you start wearing Games Workshop themed socks, if where do you match or not doesn't matter, because that's not the question you're going to get anyways.
It's true.
It's going to be, why are you wearing Roman Legion inspired socks at this point? It's going to say, that's not the Roman Legion. That's the Imperial Aquila from Warhammer 40k. Wait, where are you going? Come back.
Wait, come back. I have so much lore to tell you.
Yes. This is only the beginning.
Yeah. So, right after we recorded last week's episode,
like moments after,
the next day, I was very upset. We got a big update for the League of Votan.
I
say big update.
It's a fun update.
It's a good update,
and it's fun because James Workshop himself gave us the update.
That was so great. I was delighted because the best part about this is that it means that they were doing this for like a little bit of time so that they could put together a James Workshop video. I love James Workshop unabashedly.
And it's unfortunate, and we'll talk about a little bit of the bullshit that went around this announcement for League of Votan, but it's unfortunate that the humor and the self-referential jokes that are littered in that video got obscured by some of the absolute lunacy that followed.
Yeah.
everything that comes out of James Workshop's mouth is gold in the way that it just addresses all of the dumbest accusations that are leveled at Games Workshop.
And the problem is that these people that say all these stupid things pointed at it and went, see? These are the same people that don't understand that Warhammer is satire.
Yes, exactly. Well, why would they understand that the video has an element of satire too? And the problem is the video has an element of satire, which is the James Workshop portion, but also a sincere apology of, look, we may have like not playtested this sufficiently before release or whatever reasons. So like sincerity alongside satire to a group of people who struggle with the basic concept of sarcasm and satire.
Yeah,
it's not a good mix.
No.
My favorite line from this whole thing was the James Workshop saying, "Of course they're overpowered. They haven't won a tournament in 20 years."
So good.
Absolutely. It is the type. It's perfect because it's self-referential, but also about as thought out as most of the arguments that we see online discussing rules. It is brilliant.
I liked the end when he's like, "All right, I'm over it. I'm only supposed to come out at Christmas."
And you got to understand that this is basically just all of Games Workshop saying, whatever crisis you guys are gonna have about this announcement, don't care. we're addressing the situation. We're doing these changes, and now we have to release some Age of Sigmar Gargants.
Yes.
So we don't have time for this anymore.
Yes.
So the changes themselves are actually very simple.
Yep.
We're seeing a change to the judgment rules to say that, and I'm not going to explain the judgment rules too much in details, but basically units that have judgment tokens on them are easier to wound because on a 2-hit roll of 4, 5, or 6, depending on the number of judgment tokens, they get automatically wounded.
Yeah.
So 1 token means that on a 6+ to hit, it's an automatic wound.
Right.
Which synergize with the Magna Rail rules and probably some other rules that allowed rolls that on a roll of 6, their special rules kick in that allow damage to spread from one model to others.
Right.
That's the gist of it. That's the general of it, and it no longer does that. So an automatic hit from an automatic wound from a judgment token does no longer count towards triggering those other rules.
Right.
So that's kind of the big one. That's the one that I think people thought was a bit abusive. Then again, when you look at the strength of the Magna Rail weapons, like the smallest one is strength 9 and the biggest one is strength 14.
Yeah.
They're both 1 shot each. So it's hard to imagine that they're, especially using command rerolls, that they're not going to get their wounds in anyways.
Yeah.
Listen, I've only played 3 games with this army, and I'm not a rules guy, but that doesn't feel like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
The biggest change is an army-wide increase in pointage.
Yeah.
And some of it is fairly simple, +1 point per model on the Hearthskin Warriors, but also a massive +70 points to the Hecaton Fortress, which is their pretty much the centerpiece model, is their big tank.
Yeah.
It's the only one of 2 heavy supports they have, but the only vehicle that's heavy support. It's one of 2 vehicles in the army.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, but that represents basically a 30% increase in pointage. So, I mean, truth is, people haven't really played this army all that much.
Right.
Those who have probably played proxies with an early PDF leak. I can't imagine that these are a ton of people, and I can't imagine that these are the people who have Games Workshop's ear all that much. Otherwise, maybe a few people have played with the army set that they got early. Maybe they proxied the rest. It's hard to imagine that coming from the community, there was a lot of playtesting.
Right.
In seeing that Games Workshop put out a whole video, I'm tempted to agree that Games Workshop knew that they were going to need to do this nerf at some point, or at least forecast it.
Right. I mean, because the way that production schedules work, there's a very minimum of one, if not 2 or 3 data slate updates. So like game-wide points updates that happened between this book going to the printer and it being released. Now, is that a good argument for the rules being free online? Yes, it is. But points are free online, so there is that. And so that's like, while this is a particularly robust change in points, it's also not unusual for a brand new codex to get an FAQ and some points changes within a couple weeks. This one's just kind of earlier and bigger a little bit.
And also likely not the last.
Yeah.
These models are eventually going to make their way into players' hands. These players are going to bring these models and these lists to tournaments, and we're going to see actual field testing of these armies. And depending on the results, Games Workshop will probably revisit those points.
Yeah.
Well, whether they'll lower them or increase them or change them here and there is anybody's guess, because we don't know. We haven't seen these models in tournaments yet.
Right.
So does it feel premature? Yes and no. I mean, erratas and point adjustments usually come pretty quick after a codex comes out for the reasons you just mentioned. So it's fun how they did it. It's unfortunate that they have to do it, and I think Games Workshop should sit down and have a big boy think about how they want to handle rules and giving away rules and point costs if they're going to be changing every quarter.
Right.
But at the same time, this had an amusing reaction from the community.
Community in big old air quotes.
From a segment of the community, which is probably, this is a segment of the community that probably likes to launch fireworks with their hands around July 4th.
Sure.
And I'm saying this because essentially what happened is someone somewhere, and I don't want to point fingers, I haven't done the research because, oh my God, I have better things to do with my time. But judging how plumb stupid this is, and so carefully engineered to outrage people, I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the multitude of YouTube channels or community blogs who like to put out these videos or these blogs to enrage people against Games Workshop, and basically clickbait them into, come watch my video and be angry at Games Workshop, but please also watch these ads so I can make money off of it. Which, just a little tangent, if anybody is trying to make you watch ads to then get you angry at something, get your news somewhere else. These people are they're exploiting you. If they're making money and you don't know what the product is, chances are you're the product. And in this case, these are people that are just making money off of you being angry, and you don't need that kind of stress in your life.
No.
We all have better things to do. If you want to get mad at Games Workshop, I can give you a laundry list of reasons. You're not going to be as mad, but it's going to make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So the theory goes that Games Workshop intentionally, months ago, years ago, when they were first writing that codex and deciding on those point costs, and keeping in mind what you just said earlier about the production times, like this probably happened, if they made that decision, that was 6 to 9 months ago.
Yeah.
To intentionally make the codex too powerful.
Yes.
To be able to sell more of the army set. So the army set, and we've seen these army sets before. Usually, if you're not quick on the trigger, what are the chances of you being able to order one online?
Very low.
Very, very low. I don't know if there is a specific like Liechtenstein store online that maybe people forget, but usually from most regions, these vanish within an hour, sometimes less. considering that League of Votan is easily one of the more and most anticipated new releases since Sister of Battles, or even better than Sister of Battle. I mean, I remember when I started getting into the hobby in 3rd edition, the meme before meme that every time you asked Games Workshop, when are you doing squats, they would add a year to that deadline. That was already a joke when I started in 3rd edition. We're in 9th edition right now. So this is an army that people have been sweating over and demanding for literally decades. The idea that they needed to trick the community. So the idea is that's the thing. Like, so you've got this most anticipated of releases. A limited edition box set that even for corner case armies like the Beast Snagas vanish from the website within hours. Games Workshop didn't feel confident enough that they would sell them. So what they did is they overpowered it, leaked the codex themselves, I guess. And we've gotten, like, I'm sorry if I'm breaking the fourth wall a bit, but you and I have gotten the emails from Games Workshop saying, hey, don't leak things. This messes, like, believe me, Games Workshop ain't cool with that codex having leaked. They're not angry in the we're gonna go out of business angry. Like, this is, it's they broke a plate while doing the dishes angry. Like, it's still something that's gonna nag them for a while, but they'll get over it. But still, like, they didn't throw the plate on the ground themselves, is what I'm saying. So they leaked these pointers so that people would get more excited about buying something that is already guaranteed would sell out. And then, and this is where it gets super stupid. Increase the point cost of all the models. Because that would balance them out. Now, Amy, army sets, are they a good deal?
Army sets are a great deal. Pretty universally across the board.
All right, so I'll give you a choice, all right? You have to pay for either every kit in an army set, every kit, book, data cards, whatever, in an army set individually, or would you rather get the army set that also, for less money, has limited edition covers and things?
I'm gonna go ahead and buy the box. Thanks.
Weird how that works out.
Strange.
So Games Workshop did all this. Like, this is their master plan to sell what is clearly a lower margin product, and then cripple their sales of the rest of the range because people can't fit as many of those other models into their army because of the increased point.
And especially the biggest and presumably most expensive model of those models.
Yes. Basically, the Hecaton Fortress, the largest centerpiece model, has gone from 230 points to 300 points per model base without upgrades. Basically a 30% increase. It is easy to imagine that lists that would have had 2 or 3 will now have 1 fewer of these models, because that is a 70-point increase in cost. So I'm not sure what the accusation becomes on the part of these people. Because are you accusing Games Workshop of being greedy? Because clearly basic grade school level math tells you that no, they're actually probably long-term going to take a hit. So, not greed. So are they stupid? I mean, quote unquote, yes.
Sure.
Games Workshop are dumb, but then we have to apply Occam's razor to it. Like, is it more likely that, as they have admitted hilariously through the video, they're dumb because they didn't properly play test and revise the rules as to be able to give us more balanced point costs and rules? Or they made up an incredibly complex and elaborate self-defeating plan.
Yeah.
So anyways, if you believe in this particular conspiracy theory, congratulations. You wear your Burger King crown proudly, step on that soapbox and yell your insanity. But there's nothing I can do for you. I'm not allowed to prescribe the medication you need. But that's it. That is absolutely one of the most fun things I've seen the community, that segment of the community come up with regarding a launch for Games Workshop in a long time.
Yeah.
It exceeded expectations. Like, we knew there were going to be some dumb things because these channels, I don't want to name them because I don't want to drive traffic to them. You know what they are. If you don't bother. They're really boring.
Good for you.
Some of them have good production value, but it's a nasally voice from someone who's angry. You know what I mean? Talking about. So these channels need to talk about something. They need to be angry at Games Workshop for something because that's how they make money. And of course, they would come up with something ridiculous for League of Votan. It's the biggest release Games Workshop has had, most anticipated release in years and decades. So you can't let that sweet added revenue from Outrage go by. I didn't expect it would be that dumb.
Yeah.
I thought it would be something about like the quality models. We've done a short video about the scale and how it measures up. There's so many things that could have been discussed about the League of Votan that are or aren't legitimate concerns, but are at least worth conversation about. This one, just wow, super entertaining.
Yeah. On a more positive note, we also just had the UK Golden Demon competition, which Tabletop Inquirer absolutely nailed it in that this is the most inspiring and disheartening event for painters. Like
I
us.
toss my brushes across.
It's so, and I mean, but I also just want to paint things. Like, I'm hyped up. I've got my own Golden Demon model, like, in the wings, ready to go. And I just, you know what I mean? But I do also go, but why bother?
It is a testament to the nuanced psyche of an artist that you can have both this absolute feeling of disgust in your own lack of talent and skill, and yet feel motivated to somehow try to measure up anyways.
I might be trash, but I'm going to be the best trash I can be.
I mean, that's pretty much my life philosophy. That's how I got into writing. So, beautiful work. The Slayer Sword winner has done what I keep wanting to do. I love dueling dioramas and just absolutely killed it. And not killed it. Like, I have a lot of complaints and comments about painting contests, but what makes it great is that it is quality painting, no gimmicks. Like, the gimmickiest thing is the resin, which in and of itself is not just resin. Like, it's beautifully done.
Yeah, you don't. It's not gimmicky because you almost barely register what it is. What I like about this is how diametrically opposed this is to the Slayer Sword winner from the Adepticon Golden Demon, which was the one Lizardman there.
Yes, beautifully, perfectly painted Lizardman model. Like, this one tiny skink.
Yep.
But a masterpiece in and of itself. And this
other
thing is just that massive monstrosity. Also masterfully painted.
The amount of freehand is just, and I mean, it's all conversion. Like, I love this.
The thing is,
much.
it is immediately recognizable as Games Workshop, which is probably, like, if you haven't picked up the vibe, the difference between, say, a Crystal Brush competition and a Slayer Sword, a Golden Demon competition, Games Workshop does not want you to sculpt or convert their models into something that is no longer Games Workshop.
Right.
If you go too far, it will cost you.
If you've got
if
you look at it and you go, wait, what model is that? Like, how did you, but you still think that it's like a legit Games Workshop model. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and in this case, it is clearly a Gargant fighting one of those Hydras from the Dark Eldars. And the amount of detail is fabulous. It is a great model. There's
beautiful.
No question that it deserves to have won.
Yeah.
And it doesn't rely on like a free-handed banner that just hangs off the back or just extraneous amounts of weathering and pigments. Like everything, it's not about what trickery was used into convincing us it's well painted. It's just well painted.
It's just well painted. I mean, there's tattoos, there's freehand all over the skin of the Hydra and on like pieces of cloth on the Gargant. I think there's a fish in the water.
I mean, why wouldn't there be?
I mean,
at this point,
there would be.
It's
so good. I love it. I can't stop looking at it. It's so good. I'd seen it somewhere and I can't find it now because I would follow this gentleman on whatever social media he had, but now I can't find him. And I know I saw this like when everybody was sharing their, hey, here's my golden demon that I just dropped off. And so love that. Do you, other than that model, do you have a favorite model out of this crop of winners?
I do. I had to. You asked me the question right before we recorded the show, so I had to kind of scramble because I didn't have much time to look at these. I'm painting stuff. I'm a very busy person.
Busy. That's okay.
I'm very busy. But I did very quickly found the one that caught my eye the most and double checked to make sure it's like the quality is still there. But the large model gold from Chris Clayton, that skink priest on complex, basically a young, refreshed Lord Croak, if you will.
I'll point out that is the same guy that painted the Slayer sword model.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
A little insulted by the fact that this guy can come in with two absolutely stunning models like that. Like it ain't nothing.
When was the last time they had a UK Golden Demon, though?
It was a while ago.
It's been in the before times, right? I'm almost certain. Because I think Adepticon was the first one.
Yes.
So he's had a little while.
I mean, yeah, but also, come on.
No,
Chris.
I know.
Hot dickety, sir.
Yeah.
Sir. Put down the brush. Let a few of us have a crack at it. But, I mean, that being said, like, obviously, dude, first of all, sharp dresser.
Yeah.
Glorious beard.
Yep.
Did a really good job. But not the only one. Like there is a lot of absolutely cool, like gorgeous models everywhere. Like even the small scale competition, some of these, they're all Aeronautica Imperialists that won.
Yes, they are.
But some people just went above and beyond and have some models that just look like they should be 40K scale.
Yep. You have to like stop and think. Like, wait a minute, this is tiny.
I actually disagree. I haven't seen the models in person, so obviously I'm basing this off of what I can see.
Sure.
But there's I think it's a Marauder fighter or a Lightning, whatever. There's one of the Imperial Navy fighter that has an open canopy and wheels. And I don't know if you've done any aeronautic.
Dude in there?
There is. I don't know if there's a dude, but there's at least a chair, like a.
Yeah.
If you've painted or built any of these models, these are not features that come with the model.
No.
Someone expertly converted some of the smallest models available from Games Workshop to give them features that they don't normally have. I feel that this is not it's silver. It won silver. I feel like it should have been gold. Not that whatever won gold isn't great. I mean, it's an Eldar ship that looks like it should be 40K scale by the amount of detail on it. It's insane. So I'm not participating in Golden Demons anymore. I quit.
Yes, you are. Don't lie.
I probably am, but man.
Yeah.
Oof. This you can understand what the Games Workshop community says when they say like this is really like the creme de la creme of the hobby coming together.
Mm-hmm. I like how much Nurgle conversion showed up. There's a Lord Discordant that has clearly been converted to Nurgle, which is amazing. And then in the vehicle one, I don't even know what it's supposed to be, but it is made out of a great unclean one mostly. And it has the correct proportion of Nurglings to model. But I think my favorite paint job, like if we're just talking paint job, it is the Age of Sigmar single model winner. It's the goblin with his little moon staff, and he's just beautiful. Oh,
he is super well painted.
So
like when you, because this is the thing about these pictures that they don't, very much like League of Votan, they do a poor job of giving you scale.
yes.
Goblins are
Small.
minuscule.
Very small.
And this little bastard is super detailed. And everything about him is so smoothly painted.
So smooth. Oh, love this model. Even down to like the little skulls and stuff that are.
There's a bird skull in there. And you know how I feel about bird skulls.
I have a feeling I know where that bird skull came from. And I can tell you that bird skull is the size of your pinky fingernail.
It is a tiny bird skull.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm never painting anything again. And also I can't wait to paint stuff.
Yeah, it's. I like to say where it's the golden age of this hobby, and you can only go downhill from here. If I win a Slayer sword, we've gone.
Yeah, we've gone too far.
Very far down.
Yep. Heck of a week.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to talking about that preview. There's a lot that could come out of it. This isn't a show about speculation, so we can't go into our various ideas, but we have discussed them on another show, and there's a lot that it could be a lot, it could be very little, and I'm eager to find out which.
So be sure to watch the preview review at youtube.com/Warhammer Workshop TV. And we'll be back again next week with another episode. And until then, happy hobbying.